Okay, so picture this. You're at the World Economic Forum. The room is just buzzing with ambition. You've got world leaders, CEOs, global investors, and everybody is there to sell something, an idea, a new policy. But really, what they're all selling is trust. And right into that room, a president walks onto the stage with a massive, massive task ahead of him. And that's not just some philosophical question. It's the real world challenge that Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto was facing. So his speech, well, it wasn't just a speech. It was a carefully crafted answer to this exact trillion-dollar question. So let's get into it and break down how he did it. Now, on the surface, the goal here seems pretty straightforward, right? Project Confidence. You want to present this new vision for Indonesia that's stable, that's predictable, and, this is the key part, that's backed up by actual evidence. But this was way more than just a good presentation. Our analysis of the data shows this was a really calculated pivot. It was a conscious move away from that old way of doing things, vague promises, diplomatic fluff, and a hard turn towards the cold, hard language of data. This was literally about rebranding an entire nation using numbers. So you might be asking, how can we be so sure about that? Well, it's because we can actually look past the words on the page and analyze the hidden architecture of the speech itself. Using a bit of data science, we can actually map out the strategy behind the sentences. And the main tool we use for this is something called stylometry. The easiest way to think about it is like a linguistic fingerprint. It lets us mathematically measure things like word choice, sentence structure, and rhetorical patterns to figure out a speaker's unique style and, more importantly, their real intent. It's how we find the blueprint hiding just beneath the surface. And what did that blueprint show us? Well, it revealed this very carefully crafted emotional journey. The speech kicks off by building trust, talking all about stability. Then, it transitions into inspiring hope by going through all these successful social programs. And finally, it lands on establishing authority with this really firm message on law and order. It's a classic playbook, really, designed to walk the audience from feeling comfortable to feeling confident. But as we dug in even deeper, the analysis showed us something even more interesting. A really deliberate and powerful split in the language. It was almost like the speech had two totally different personalities, and it all depended on the topic. Just look at this contrast. When he's talking about the economy, the language is all constructive, it's collaborative. You see words like grow, provide, and partner. It sounds like a builder, right? But then, when the topic switches over to law and corruption, the whole tone just flips. The words get disruptive, even aggressive. Confiscate, revoke, eradicate. This is the language of a fighter, a protector. And you don't have to just take my word for it. This chart makes it crystal clear. The data just lays it all out. See those blue bars? That's the economic and social language. It's overwhelmingly constructive. And the red bars? That's all the talk about law and corruption. And it's super aggressive, all about action. This wasn't an accident. This was a strategy. So the really critical question is, why do this? Well, this two-sided approach sends one single, powerful message to any investor listening. Your money is safe here. The constructive, growing economy is being protected by a government that is not afraid to take swift, decisive action against anyone who steps out of line. See how that works? Each side of the message makes the other one strong. And just to make that message absolutely impossible to ignore, the speech rolled out its heaviest weapon, just a barrage of overwhelming statistics. This wasn't just about sharing a few facts. It was about using sheer scale to build credibility and just steamroll any skepticism in the room. It all starts with a number so huge it just commands attention. $1 trillion. That's the value of the new sovereign wealth fund called Danantara. This is the big anchor, the headline number that's designed to make every single person in that room snap to attention. Then, bam, right after that, a follow-up number to prove speed and efficiency. $18 billion saved. And get this, that's not over 5 or 10 years. That's in just the first 2 months from making the budget smarter. That's a huge signal to investors that this government can get things done and get them done fast. And to finish off this 1, 2, 3 punch, a number that proves that legal authority we were just talking about, 4 million hectares of illegal land confiscated. It's solid, tangible proof that the tough talk on law and order isn't just talk. It has real teeth. This chart really puts it all into perspective. I mean, just look at the sheer scale of that top bar. That's the $1 trillion fund. It visually dwarfs everything else on the list, and that's completely on purpose.
All those other impressive achievements, they're all positioned as supporting evidence for this one massive new engine for investment.
So, when you start putting all of these pieces together, the emotional journey, that split personality in the language, the overwhelming data, a really, really clear picture starts to emerge. This whole speech was the global launch of a brand new identity for Indonesia.
And this, right here, is the absolute core of it. The entire speech was engineered to fundamentally change how the world sees the country. The message was no longer, please come invest in us. Instead, it was, here is the hard evidence of our stability and our growth. We are a credible global partner that you will want to work with. It's a total change in posture. So you can really boil this new pitch down to 3 key pillars. First, evidence over promises. Simple as that. Second, using data not just as information, but as a powerful symbol that shows you're in control, you're competent. And third, changing the entire relationship, positioning the nation as an equal partner, not as someone asking for a handout.
But maybe the most powerful signal in the entire speech was actually hidden in a tiny detail. At one point, he mentions tracking a national free meal program right down to the specific number of kitchens involved, 21,102. Now, why would you mention such a small detail on a global stage? Because it screams logistical control. It tells a long-term investor, hey, we don't just see the big picture, we have mastered every single detail.
And all of this leaves us with one final big question to think about. In a world that feels so uncertain, where trust is basically the most valuable currency there is, maybe the most persuasive ambassador a country has isn't a person at all. You have to wonder, in the 21st century, is a nation's data its most valuable diplomat?